This video is going to cover how to do cross sections in Open Roads Designer. First thing that you'll want to do is create a cross section file if it's not delivered, or if you want to create new cross sections. Always encourage creating a brand new file to do it. So we'll go File, and then we'll go to the New option. And I'm going to use this MoDOT Design C2D and just call this XS underscore, I'll just call it video. So brand new blank file. We'll open that up. Now, the way Open Roads Designer works is that they have these files called retainer files, where we create a file and we reference in one file and we use a nested depth to bring in all the other files. So there's not really anything that you're doing in these files. It's just a way of bringing in all the reference files to the one file. And I'm going to show you how that works here in a moment. We still have the bug at this moment where it takes forever for it to open up through ProjectWise. So we will wait out the wheel and then be able to check in our corridors file. Okay, so I'll check it in. It'll open up a blank, brand new file. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure I'm at the Open Roads Modeling, or excuse me, I want to go to Reality Modeling. I want to make sure my coordinate system's set up. So Reality Modeling, and go all the way to the end to coordinate system. It's Tuesday morning, so. And then I'm going to copy the coordinates from another file by using this icon with the folder. It goes out to the folder that I'm working in, and I can pick any other file that I've actually created that I've attached the coordinate system to. So I'm going to pick the corridors Route 54. I know it's on that, and I will just go with the default. And what we're looking for is that GCS description of NAD 83 Missouri State Plan. And you can see it's already applied to those models, so I'll hit OK. My coordinate system's been set up in this file, so I'm good to go, and I'll go ahead and close out this dialog. Next step is to go back to Open Roads Modeling, Workflow, and then I'm going to attach the files that I need for this video. Okay. So I'll go Tools, Attach, and I'm just going to do some cross sections for the Route 54. So what I'm looking for is that corridors Route 54. I'm going to add it in. So all the stuff I want to do in this cross section just pertains to that. I'll hit Add, hit the OK button. Here's the dialog you're looking for where you need to make a change. If I just went with a zero nested depth, just a corridors file would come in. I want to grab whatever's attached to that corridors file. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to 1, and then I'm going to hit OK. Now, in the reference dialog, all you see is the one file that's attached. But if I do a fit view, you can see it's not only brought across the corridors file, but it's brought across the corridors 3D, our terrain, our land boundary, our everything that you can imagine, all our civil geometry. And to see those other files, when you use that live nesting option, all you have to do is show this hierarchy. This little button over here on the left of the reference. I like to use it so I can see what files I have in there. It has our DGN file we're working on right now, cross-section video, but you have to hit the plus sign to open up to see the tree. And then you'll see this is the file that we referenced then, corridors reference, or corridors Route 54. Open that up, and then you'll see all the other files that was attached to the corridors file. They're brought in as a live nesting. Pretty slick. So we'll go ahead and close out of the reference. Select my terrain, and we'll make it active. That's what makes cross sections work, because it's actually the 3D model that where it gets all the information from, not the 2D. But the 2D is where we create all the stuff. Okay, so the next step is, after we've got that as active, and we see all the geometry in here and all the stuff that we want to see in our cross section, the next part of it is to go ahead and hit the F6 key to open up two windows. We want to open up our 2D and our 3D window. And there's a reason for this. The tool will not process the cross sections unless you have this 3D window open. Okay? So the next step after we've done that is to go to Drawing Productions on our tabs. And then you'll see all the different types of options you have with Drawing Productions out here. We're looking for one called Name Boundary here towards the end. Okay? I can hit the pull down, you'll see we have Place Name Boundary or Adjust Profile Name Boundary. We want the Place Name Boundary, so we'll select it. It brings up our tool. And in the Place Name Boundary tool, there's all kinds of different types of name boundaries we can place. We're looking for the one for the cross section. So civil cross section, fourth one down. We'll select that icon. And then the next important thing is to pick a seed file. We have a 5 scale, 10 scale, and 20 scale. Now these will come with borders. So we'll go ahead and we'll pick a 10 scale for this. And you can see the detail scales changed for us. We're good to go. Now when we create name boundaries in Open Roads Designer, what happens is it creates two different things. It creates two different models. It creates a sheet model, which will have the border, and it creates a drawing model, which creates all the geometry. Now the sheet model will contain 1 to 2, maybe 3 drawing models. It just depends on what it can fit in those sheets. Okay, so I'll show you how that works in a minute. Next step, what we want to do is read down here in our status bar. It says identify the path element. So what we're looking for is that Route 54 element, that alignment. I'm going to select it. And now it's asking me for a start location. The start location in this particular alignment, there's some crucial things that you need to do here. It has a station equation, as you can see right here on the northern end of this project. Okay. So we're moving 1.01 out of it. So if I want to start at 610, I have to put the region in because there is an equation. There's a region 1 on the beginning of it, region 2 beyond till the next station equation. So if I want 610, I'm going to come here to start location in the dialog. I'm going to key in 610 plus 00 space. I'm going to give it a region 2, so R2. Then I hit the enter key and move out on my screen and accept it. You can see it's going to start right there at 610. If I just typed in 610 and hit enter, it would be 609 point whatever without that station equation. So we'll go to, let's go to about 620. So it's looking for the stop station. We'll go ahead and key in 620 plus 00, give it again a region 2, lock that in. And then we'll go ahead and accept that stop location. Okay, so you can see it's placing these shapes out there, and these represent the cross sections that it's going to create. The next thing I want to look at is my left and right offsets. And just like in SS4, you can change these left and right offsets to either push them all the way to the left, all the way to the right, maybe a couple feet to the left, a couple feet to the right. You can adjust it. The important thing is that you fit within the border. So on a 10 scale, it's the same as it was in SS4. It's 280 feet that you have to play with. So if you want to go 100 foot left, 180 right, you could do that. I'm going to keep it at 140 and 140 left and right offset, just so it's right in the middle of my sheet. So I'm going to go with those. Now the interval, this is set to 50 right now. I think I'm going to change it to 100. We usually do 100 unless we've got a tighter area that we want to work with. So I'll lock that in by hitting the enter key, and you can see when I go out on my screen, those lines representing our cross sections have spaced out to 100 foot from the 50 foot. Okay. Next thing is that you have out here is this top clearance and bottom clearance. Now, you'll run your cross sections, you look at it, and I believe I got it set to a good medium for each one of these scales that we have. So hopefully it worked for you. If not, you can come in here and adjust this and then run it and see what you think. Okay. The next part of it is down here is include control points. If you wanted to see your PC, PT, your verticals, anything, any kind of cardinal points that are out there in your project, you would turn that on and it would create a cross section wherever those points are at. I'm going for even stationing, so I'm going to leave it unchecked. And backwards facing deals with railroad stuff, so we don't have to deal with that at all here. More that. And then we get a point where we create the drawing, which we want to do. It'll create the drawing in the background, all the drawing models, and then show a dialog. We want to show the dialog because we have to apply some annotation to it. So we want those two options checked on. So down there in the status bar says accept or reject data point in the plan view area to place the boundary. So I go ahead and left click. It quickly runs through processes, places my boundaries out here, brings me this create drawing dialog. And like I was saying, we want to be able to apply some annotation to our cross sections, and it's automatic. So what we're going to do is come down to this annotation group. We don't have to worry about the beginning. This stuff's already defaulted fine. We want to come down here to annotation group, and we're going to hit that pull down off to the right. And we're going to open our cross section folder, our drawing folder, and then in this one we'll pick excess annotation with grid. Okay, so now we have grid that's going to populate in our cross sections. The rest of this is defaulted fine. We don't want to mess with it. And then we have this last option where it'll open up the last model created, the last sheet model. So we'll go ahead and leave that on and hit the OK button. And now we're going to process all these cross sections. Down on the bottom right, you can see the status bar. It's creating the cross sections in different models within the DGN file. And when it finishes up, it's going to go to that last sheet model that we had. And you can see it right here. This is the last sheet model. So we can see Route 54 in here, and you can also see there's some Ramp 4 that's coming off of here. And you'll see the annotations have been applied. Now, a note to the annotation, right now, and we're still working on it with Bentley, annotation will cover all the points that's out there. But you also see that Ramp 4 is getting annotated as well. And these annotations, they actually apply to the center line or the baseline of 54. So wherever that's at, it's showing you the elevation offsets all the way through on Ramp 4 pertaining to that baseline over here. So it doesn't mean these annotations go with the Ramp 4. When you run your Ramp 4 stuff, it would go off of that. But since we're in 54, the annotations are still being produced. We're trying to look for a way that we could just get our Route 54 for those that just want just that one alignment and they don't want the other alignment involved. So this is a sheet model. The sheet model comes with our sheets, and it has all our title block in there. We're good to go. Down here in the bottom left is how I like to navigate through the different models. There's a pull down that allows me to go to different drawing models and different sheet models. And the sheet model's descripted with this sheet behind it. So, and you can see there's less of those than there are these drawing models. A drawing model does not say sheet behind it. So you'll see one for each station. I did even stationing. So 610, 611, 612, they all have their own. And if I go to 611 drawing model, if I select this, it brings me right into that drawing model. And you can see this is the cross section that goes with 611. And it's got all our station and offsets all the way throughout. It also has our grid work on there. So everything that we wanted to place in that cross section's been done for us. If I go to another one, let's go to one that's further down, maybe 618. You can see now we're getting Ramp 4 starting to bleed into our cross sections. Okay, so this is the drawing model. It's got a gray background. The sheet models have the white background to them. And I'll go back to a sheet model, 614. And in 614, you can see we've got 614 and 615 as our stations. So it fit two cross sections in here. So it worked out pretty nice. Now let's say we didn't like the grid work. We wanted to change remove the grid. What we'd want to do is basically go back to a drawing model. I'll just pick 611 for this. And there's an annotation group that we need to remove. To do this, we want to be in our drawing production again. And we want to go to model annotation to hit the pull down, and there's a remove model annotations. So you select that option, you get a little dialog, and you can tell it on the heads up display or in the dialog to remove all or not to remove all. I'm going to remove all. To do it from the heads up display, you can hit your up down arrows and it'll toggle back through each one of them, or you can just click on the option in the dialog. I'll just go with the yes and remove all of them. It'll take a moment, and you can see there's no more annotations. If I go to a sheet model, all the annotations are removed. But you have to do this stuff back in the drawing model. So when I'm here, back in the drawing model, I can go back to my model annotation and then annotate the model. And I do want to do all the models since I removed it from all of them. I'll hit yes, and I'll accept that. Now it's wanting to know what annotation group do you want to use. Well, I did grid the first time, and I wanted to remove the grid. So there is an option out there, and to get to that option, you can use the Alt down, or you can hit this button with the triple dots, and it'll bring up a dialog that's on my other screen, bringing us to the cross-section folder. We want to open up our folders, drawing folder, and we'll do annotation without grid. You'll also see there's an EAV one. I'll talk about that when we get to end area volumes. So we'll take annotation without grid, and then all I have to do is accept in a blank area, and it brings up another process bar, and it's going to go through each one of the models that's been created, all the different cross-section models, sheets and drawings, and add our new labeling. But you'll see it's also removed the grid, so that annotation group did not have the grid. I go back to the sheets, you can see it's been placed out there, and it removes all the grid. So it depends on what you want to see. Now, if you wanted to turn off just the minor grids, what you'd want to do is, I'm going to remove all the annotations again, and then I'm going to place it again. I'm going to annotate the model, but this time I'm going to pick that with grid so I can show you how to turn that off. And all it is actually just turning off the level. So it populates it. I'm going to hit F4 to get out of that tool. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to my Home tab, and I'm looking for the level icon, which is about halfway down. Level display. You select it, then you can come in here and open this up. I'm going to change my filter to used, and you can see you got your minor. So you turn off your minor. Now when you do this, it applies it for 611, but it don't do it for 612. So you'd have to come back to 612, turn off the minors. Now when you go back to the sheets, oop, I picked 612, I wanted 614. I wanted 610. No. I did 611. That's off. And it looks like I can't find 611, which is right here. What it looks like, it doesn't turn it off. So you would have to open up 611 drawing and turn that off. Or you can just close the whole tree up, and you're looking for one called and I had it minor grid lines to turn it off. So you'd have to do that for each sheet. I'll look into creating another annotation group that'll have that option. And then when you're finished, basically we go back to our multi-model view, and what this is, you'll see at the top we have a default, and somewhere along the line we have a default 3D view, and then we have a multi-model. So the default is our 2D, default 3Ds are 3D, and then we have a multi-model view, which is the combination of both of them. You'll also notice that in 3D window that there's shapes out here now representing our cross sections, and they're solid white shapes. They actually do have a transparency to them, but what you'll have to do is you'll have to select the window 2 to make it active, and then go to the view attributes and turn on your transparency so that you can see through these cross sections. And that, in a nutshell, is how you create cross sections in ORD.